Well, here we go. Well, a very warm welcome, everybody. My name is Steve Hammond, and this is Andy Anderson joining me, who's going to talk all about the course for the Broken Arrow Skyrace. So all four courses that we've got, very, very exciting times coming up. And yeah, Andy, welcome.
Thanks, Steve. I'm psyched to be here. It's usually you and I are doing this earlier in the summer, but we got to move it to the fall this year, so that'll be new and exciting, and it's going to be great.
Absolutely, definitely some differences in terms of weather and certain lack of snow underneath our feet. Maybe.
Sure. I mean, we won't have snow left over from the winter, but it might start snowing on us for the upcoming winter in October. As you well know, I believe that Steve is well known in the Spartan world for putting on Spartan races, and I think that he told me once that every year when they put their Spartan race on at Squaw in the fall in Olympic Valley, it snows on them. So we'll see.
Yes, throughout the whole 2-week cycle that we're there has been some white stuff falling from the sky, some in good amounts and some in little amounts. So we never know what we're quite going to get, but it's going to set for some exciting times for sure. So yeah, I can't wait. And yeah, I'm glad that you're here to it's usually myself and you running around the course, setting it all up, making sure putting all the markers and everything out there. But you got some great details of the course that you pretty much came up with a good couple of years ago. So yeah, Andy, will just to let you guys know, we're probably going to be taking a few questions a little bit later, but Andy's going to just give us a really good rundown on the course and some other exciting features that we've got on this event with some of our partners as well. So Andy, take it away.
Thanks, Steve. And I also want to thank Strava for making this live stream virtual event possible this time around. And one of the really exciting things is that they're going to allow us to live stream some of the race, which is going to be great. And we have Scott Rokas is in charge of that segment of the world at Broken Arrow. And he's with us tonight, helping with all the technology and the Zoom stuff and all that fun stuff. So thank you so much, Scott, for that help.
And the live streams for the 26K, Andy, or is that for all events?
It's for the 26K. So that'll be really exciting and fun to watch if you can't be here. So you'll be sitting on the edge of your couch and wishing you were here, I imagine.
But very, very competitive field in both the men and the women's field this year.
Yes, I can't remember a year where it hasn't been competitive. So
true.
Keep it going. So yeah. And Scott, anything from you on Zoom housekeeping stuff for folks? Should they just chime in the chat? Things like that. We'll
Scott's in the background somewhere.
Yeah, Scott's running all our technology. So if you do have questions, chime in the chat and we'll try to get those answered. Cool. Let's start with the 26K loop because that is the back.
Just go ahead.
Sorry, Scott, go ahead. Cool. Sorry for that. I think Scott came off mute there for a second, and I assume he'll pipe in if he has something important to say. But otherwise, why don't we start with the 26K loop, since that forms the backbone of several of the courses. I'm going to share my screen and we'll go right into it. Here we go. So, boom. So now you all should see a map and a photo.
Look at you, that's clever.
Steve, can you see a map and a photo?
I can. This is great.
So this is our course map. I've also got the courses on Strava. So we'll put the links to those courses in the chat box and people can check them out there if they like. Add them to you can go practice on them and stuff like that. Squaw is doing some construction this year. They're adding a new lift. So parts of the course may be closed at times if you're trying to go up there and run. So just be respectful of Squaw if you're up there before the race. So But like I said, this 26K loop forms the backbone of our course. And you can see it here in purple. And for the 26K, you run this loop once. For the 52K, you come all the way over to the finish and then run a second loop. So not only is the race physically challenging, but that starting that second loop is really hard mentally. Yeah. But this is what the start looks like typically. There's Brendan, one of the race directors, announcing the start, and a whole bunch of people here in the village at down here in Olympic Valley at the ski resort there. And we run through the village just a little bit. You can see right here, this little purple line comes through the village, past some vendor village, and then out onto the trail here right at the base of the ski area.
It's a very European feel, that start, isn't it? It's fantastic. Running through that village is a brilliant send-off.
It really is, Steve. It's a blast, and it feels very fun and exciting. There's lots of people around, and yeah, it's a great time. I have heard people say that it gets them so excited that they go out a little too fast.
That's true, and it's interesting for this course because, as you're going to probably explain very quickly, you jump straight into single track quite fast. So something that you want to kind of gauge yourself in the field. If you know you go off pretty quick, then you might want to kind of start a bit further up. If you know that you're going to blow up pretty quickly, or you're going to start walking on those single tracks early on, then just bring yourself a bit further back and just enjoy that jaunt through the village before you start on those single tracks. But yeah, sorry, Andy, over to you.
Yeah, no worries. And yeah, like Steve said, once you come out of the village here, can you see my cursor, Steve, my little mouse hand?
Yes.
Great.
Yeah,
so once you come out of the village here, you're on a little gravel road here at the base of the ski area. And then that comes around this south building and you start up a hill, and then the trail turns to single track in here. And this is single track, but it's up a ski run, so it's quite steep. This, you might recognize this guy, Steve, but this is what the trail looks like there at the start. And this is
my twin brother.
This is Steve running up the start one day while we were marking the course and checking things out. It probably won't have these patches of snow here, and it probably won't be this wet. It might be dusty. So, and that continues up for a little ways. You're in this single track running switchbacks up the ski area here, and this is what it looks like on the map. Once you get up into here, you hit the Western States Trail. Ta-da! Except instead of going to Auburn, as the Western States Race does, you're going to go the other direction and loop out towards Highway 89. This section of trail is really runnable. This is probably the most runnable section of the entire course, wouldn't you say, Steve?
It is absolutely gorgeous. It's funny saying this, but it's deceivingly quick.
Yeah.
You can absolutely fly on the section. Absolutely. For a good couple of miles.
It can be super fast. Some of our leaders come through there averaging,
almost sub 6.
I was going to say, certainly sub 8-minute pace for most of the folks in the front of the race. And then for the really fast, the people who win the race, they're coming through, in like 7-minute pace, sometimes even faster than that. So it's can be pretty exciting for sure. And that's a blast to watch. If you can get out there and see some of the folks just lengthening their stride and flying through there. And that continues all the way around here, looping along Western States. You're kind of going just above the Olympic Valley, mostly contouring. It's a little bit of gradual hills, some up, some down, sort of rolling, until you get all the way out here. Let's zoom out a little bit, all the way out here to this turn. From about right here, you drop down towards Highway 89 to make this turn. And then come along you're basically paralleling Highway 89 here on this section of trail and looping back around towards the ski area.
Yeah, still gorgeous single. Yeah, well, there you go. There's the photo. I love it.
So again, we have our professional runner Steve here showing us what this trail looks like. This is in this section of trail right over here. It's just beautiful, open forest, single track, smooth, fun running. And that continues all the way around through here. We added another aid station there this year for when you cross this road. And it won't be it'll be pretty early in the race for most people, but definitely a nice top off if you need it. It's also where the first real climb of the race starts. So you can see on the profile here, this is that aid station. And then you see this is our first sort of real climb of the race. As you can see, they start somewhat small and then just get progressively bigger as we go throughout the race. So from this section, you're still on single track, you're running up through the forest, and then you pop back into the ski area here and it opens back up. At that point, you're running straight up a ski run to the top of this peak. This is actually where the skiers in the winter do some of their race training. So, it's steep and fun. Then at the top of this peak, you catch this nice little single track trail down, which is also steep. And it comes back down to this little saddle right there. As you can see, when I say little, I mean little, before you go back up. And then you're going back up to the top of Snow King. And that top of Snow King, it looks small in this profile, but it's a pretty good climb.
Good leg burner. Yeah. Very, very good leg burner. It's on a good road, but it's certainly it certainly will blow. You can blow up the legs quite easily just on that small section.
And in this section, we also have our first official Strava segment.
Hey, so do you want to touch on that a little bit, Andy? What we're doing this year?
Yeah, for sure. And what I mean by official Strava segment is Strava is supporting the race in a major way this year. Like I said, they're supporting the whole live stream, and we're also partnering with them to provide a couple of official segments in the race. And this one we're calling Broken Heart because, like Steve said, it looks like a little climb on the profile, but then you get there and you're like, oh my gosh, it's so steep, it's burning my legs, and my heart's beating fast, and it's hard. And so we decided to make this first official segment, this first steep climb. And the exciting thing about these official segments is that they're going to be prizes for them. So the people who run the fastest up them are going to get a prize. The people who I believe run the slowest up them will also get a prize. The people, they'll also do some random prizes in the middle. And so that'll be super exciting. It'll be, your 15 minutes of fame, or probably even less. As you can see, the fastest times for this segment so far are in the 4-minute realm, 4 minutes 26 seconds for the men and 5 minutes 49 seconds for the women.
That was the Scottish guy, Mr. Andrew Douglas.
Yeah,
he was flying on that 26K.
Thought you might recognize that guy, Steve. In case y'all can't tell, Steve's from Scotland, so he has a special place in his heart for Scottish runners. And so, like I said, Strava has partnered with us, and we have 2 official segments on the course, and this is the first one. And so it'll be super exciting. I'm sure some people will get here and then just go all out to the top of this segment, going for that segment crown, or the king of the mountains, or the queen of the mountain. And that may be great. It may make the rest of the race harder too, but it sure will be fun. So yeah, so that's our first segment, and we'll have links to these segments available for folks so that they can check them out beforehand if they want to. Cool. So do you have any other things to add for that first official Strava segment there, Steve?
No, I think it's a great introductory to what the rest of the course is like, just because some of that is, off trail. And when we've hosted it in June, that can be just a full, pieced snow patch going up that. It gets a little bit bushwhacky in there. It's not, there are some trails to form there, but you just kind of pick and choose where you go up that hill, and there's some fast and some slow routes.
We're thinking of the first half of that climb. So that's the first half of that climb. The second half, it's on it's the official Strava segment. That half is climb up the road.
Yeah, that's just crazy, good run in, but a leg burner because it really kicks at the top.
Yeah, it's hard to run up for sure. So then you're at the top of Snow King. You get some great views, excellent vistas, and you get your first nice big downhill of the race, which for me, honestly, the downhills are harder than the uphills these days. That downhill pounding.
You're getting old, Andy.
I'm getting old, and yes. But this does, at this point, you're pretty excited to get to that Easy Street Aid Station, and this downhill takes you down towards it. So you're running down Snow King, and this is all on a double track road. It's dirt road, obviously, but it's a good downhill. People can fly and come around the corner here and get to the aid station at the bottom of this easy street lift. From there, this first half of the course, for both Steve and I, it's the most runnable part of the course. It's the places where people run fast. It's the place where people really get their turnover going, and it looks like you're running, you're cruising. But here at Easy Street, that sort of fast running part of the course is pretty much done. And this aid station at Easy Street is only about 6 miles into the course. So it's about halfway-ish, or less than halfway for the 26K, significantly less, and certainly less than halfway for the 52K. So most of the race is steeper, harder, and less speedy, shall we say.
Yeah.
So we'll start looking at that now. So
make the most of the Easy Street Station, because there's not another aid station until the very top, and that climb can be it can take a long time for most. So take good advantage of that aid station. It's one of my top tips for there. It's going to be really well stocked. There's awesome people that run it there. Absolutely, just get as much fuel as you can, because it's a long trip up.
Yeah. So like Steve said, that while mileage wise, the next aid station is maybe 3.5-ish miles.
A long 3.5 miles.
It's a long 3.5 miles because it's got a lot of elevation gain to the next aid station. Something like 2,300 vertical, give or take. So it's a lot. There's some downhill in there, but it's mostly up. This climb out of Easy Street goes up KT, and when it's dry, we'll cruise up the KT road here, which is a access road to the top of the lift. When it's snowy, we're going up on snow, and that looks like this when it's snowy. But this year it should look much drier. But this is from a couple years ago. So for those of you who might remember that, once you get to the top of KT, this is personally for me starts my favorite section of the course. And you can see, you start running down along this ridge. It's sort of a wide, sandy, smooth running. As you get down here, down KT, and now we're on this nice, beautiful ridge line here. And that just, you come all the way across this ridge. I'm going to zoom out just a hair here. There we go. We come all the way across this ridge before we start the next steep climb. So this is the climb on the profile up to the top of KT, down a little bit, and then across this ridge, and then we start our next big climb. And like I say, from the bottom of Easy Street here on the profile to the top of Squaw Peak, that is the biggest climb of the race.
Yeah.
It is long and hard and steep. you do get this little break right here running along the ridge, which is super fun and beautiful. And you get to stare at this next climb as you go across. So this is some of that climb. You're looking down on Squaw Valley. It's beautiful as you're going up here. It's amazing. This is Olympic Valley here with the nice little lakes, little golf course. You're looking out towards Lake Tahoe. It's beautiful. It's definitely one of my favorite sections of the course. Once you come around this little snow fence here and you climb up here, you're at you get to the most technical part of the course, which is going to be a little bit rockier and a little bit scrambly. Many people may have heard of the ladder on the course, and we get there along this nice scrambly ridge, and it's stellar. It's fun. It's great. There's really good running and really fun scrambling. It's definitely, like I say, my favorite section of the course. This is what it looks like on race day. This is from a couple years ago. Sometimes there'll be, we don't want too many people on the ladder at the same time, but so be courteous and polite to people, and cheer folks on as they're going up there. And obviously Tara's having a great time here. She's really enjoying the race. And you can see this beautiful ridge line that you come up to get there. It's really a stellar part of the course.
Yeah.
So, but like I say, there'll be people there. We'll have course marshals there. They'll be cheering you on, cheer your fellow runners on, and it should be a really fun time up there. So I can't imagine anyone's going to be sprinting up that ladder.
And Andy, you mentioned there might be another Strava segment somewhere along here.
Steve, you're psychic, my friend. It's almost like we planned this or did it together. This ladder is right about here, and then you come up here to the top of Squaw Peak, and that's the highest point on the course. So it seems fitting that highest point on the course and my favorite section of the course should be our other official Strava segment. So we're calling that one Stairway to Heaven. It starts just here below KT, right as you come around the top of KT. This is the lift, and then it goes across that ridge. Those photos we were just looking at, up that climb by those snow fences, onto the scrambly ridge up here, and up the ladder to the top of Squaw Peak. And that is our second official segment. It's a little bit longer. It's a little over a mile and a half. Really fast folks, aka Andrew Douglas again, has done it in 18:10, and Lizzie Webster, she's pretty darn fast as well. 3:09. So, those are impressive times, to say the least. We can look at some of the other times. Let's look at the it also has taken people 2 hours to come across that. And that's Myrna, and she's super tough and strong, and she just moved right along that, but it can take a really long time for sure. So just keep that in mind. It's a great part of the course, and you'll really enjoy it. So but yeah, that'll be our other official Strava segment, and there will also be prizes for that one. Again, going to not just the fastest people up the mountain, up the segment, but also some random folks, the slowest people on the segment. Here at Broken Arrow, we're all about everyone in the race, not just our elite athletes, but it's a race for everybody, and it can be fun for all of us, no matter how fast or how slow we are, no matter how old or how young we are. And it's just a really good time. And so our categories will reflect that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said, Andy.
All right. So when you hit the top of Squaw Peak, this is possibly right up here, the flattest part of the entire course. Shockingly,
if you've not been up to the top of Squaw Peak, it's eerily flat.
And some would say looks like it's been flattened, which it has. It's actually the FAA flattened the top of Squaw Peak for some some aviation purposes. And so it is literally the flattest part of the entire course. It doesn't last very long. You're coming down the other side pretty quick, and that's a nice fun descent. This is again coming up that ridge. And then here we see the top of Squaw Peak coming down the other side. I'll zoom in on this in just a second here, but this is an overview coming back down, dropping down by these lifts. Again, it's pretty steep, and people fly down this. It's impressive. This is what it looks like in some years. This year, it should not look like that, which is exciting. So that'll be fun.
Hopefully not.
This year it'll look more like this, where we're coming down from the top of Squaw Peak here on a little single track. This is the this tunnel is how the FAA accesses some of their stuff up there in the winter. So you come down here, and then that other picture I showed you was looking out that way. But the course comes down, goes around. You'll see a group of people here. That's because there's another aid station there. Woohoo! And then down along this ridge, and then drops down the other side of this ridge into Shirley Canyon. So on the map, we're here, top of Squaw Peak, dropping down this to the Siberia Aid Station, which is right there. You'll love this aid station when you get there. You're like, oh my gosh, that's the longest 3.5 miles ever. You're going to be super psyched when you get to that aid station, and they'll be psyched to see you too. So
absolutely.
Check in, you can stop in and say hi to folks, tell harrowing tales of the ladder and how awesome it was, or keep running through. After Siberia, like I said, you're cruising down this stuff. It's on double track ski area roads, past the Gold Coast Express, past Under Immigrant, over here, continuing along, and then you're going to do a switch back down into Shirley Canyon. And this will be actually pretty runnable. It's all on, double track ski area roads, down under the Shirley Lake Express chair. We won't take you all the way down to Shirley Lake because I really like single track trails, and there's one that cuts off right here. So you're back to single track here, running through some beautiful granite boulders, and a nice section of fun single track trail that cuts across to the Shirley Canyon Trail. Once you hit the Shirley Canyon Trail, you're coming back up, and this is actually kind of steep. This is this little bump right here. And coming back up all the way up here to High Camp and the Julia Millen Memorial Aid Station. Julia,
so Andy,
go ahead.
With the Shirley Canyon loop, I don't think we've ever run the same way every year, have we? It's always been a different way each and every year, which is kind of quite a cool tradition, because you see lots of different aspects of that, because generally in June, and when we run it in June next year, it'll all be snowy, and it's very, very different in there. Gorgeous, but very, very different. But yeah, it's always changes a wee bit, that Shirley Canyon loop.
Yes, and Steve's right. And I think that actually applies to the entire course, Steve. There's sections of course that change regularly, mostly because of snow or ski area conditions or things like that. I remember one year we had to reroute part of it because the ski area was still open and there were skiers skiing. And so,
well, that was a fantastic part of running down that ridge line. I remember there was people skiing. There was people skiing in shorts, and it was bikinis and just runners running. It was pretty epic, actually.
Yeah, it's super fun. And that's one thing about this course. We're showing you this map, and we're telling you about the features of the course. And generally, both of these things are accurate. However, the course changes pretty regularly based on conditions. And, while we expect the October course to look something like this, and it should look like this for the most part, there are definitely things that could change it. And that's one of the beautiful things about Broken Arrow, is that we one of the beautiful and exciting things about the race is that sometimes we have to reroute the course based on conditions. And that may happen in October too. It may not, we'll see. But either way,
crossed.
It's always a fun course. I'm a little biased because Steve and I end up doing the rerouting, so I think it's fun.
Me too.
I remember one year also we had to reroute because there was a snow bridge, and I actually had to go out at like 3 a.m. in the morning and build a bridge across it because it had collapsed. So hopefully that won't happen, but who knows? Maybe we'll get something different, like rain or something like that.
Andy, stop. It's going to be beautiful.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But that being said, don't be surprised if there are some changes that happen in the course because of conditions. It's
For sure.
the nature of the beast. So it looks like we have a question about what's the most technical section where I need to watch my footing. Is that from our chat window or from but that section would be that section by the ladder that I showed. This part right over here. This ridge line is the most technical part, and definitely worth watching your footing there. Most of the that's not to say the rest of the race isn't technical, but like I say, yeah, this ridge line is, I'd say, the most technical part of the race, and the place where I'd want to watch my footing the most, and the place where I'm actually dialing back some of my intensity so that I can be very sure-footed. That's not to say there's not other technical parts of the race, but and this Shirley Canyon section is one of those other technical parts of the race where it's a trail, but it's granite, boulders, and stuff like that, and so you've got to watch your footing in there, but it's not as technical as this ridge line.
Yeah. I think for me, some of the technical areas is where you can get a bit of speed up. So Thunder Mountain Trail can get a little bit technical. You got to really watch your footing on there. As Andy said, just a bit off the Squaw Valley on the way down by the little tunnel, that can get a little bit sketchy. Just dry and dusty. I ran it the other day, and it was just a little bit loose there. And there's a few sections, of course, where especially on the downs, you can pick up a little bit momentum, and it's just knowing your capabilities with your speed on that kind of terrain. But overall, you're I think Andy said this is the most technical section of the course that you can see in the photo there.
Yeah. So thanks for that question. I'm not sure who asked it, but appreciate that. And feel free to jump in, and we'll answer questions as they come up for sure. So we were here coming up out of Shirley Canyon. The trail looks sort of like this. This is actually, Steve just alluded to it. Again, he's psychic. That's the next section of the course. This is part of the Thunder Mountain Trail that I'm coming down here. And this is a lot of what the other sections of trail in this part of the course look like. They're, like I said, not super technical like that ridge, but they're still rocky, and you can, as Steve said, you can get up the momentum, and you want to make sure you're paying attention coming through this stuff. It's trail running. It's fun. So this is the section below the aid station here. You'll come down on a little ski area road again, and then hang out hard left, and then you'll be on this single track trail. And this single track trail takes you all the way down past the namesake of the race, the Broken Arrow Peak and lift, and back onto a little road, then back onto more single track. And this section of single track is back onto a trail that we started on, the Western States Trail.
Yep.
So this is the actual Western States Trail. It is awesome. It's a really fun section of the course. Again, it looks sort of like this. It's single track. It's fun running. It's a little bit rocky in places. It contours along the side of the mountain here, all the way over until you hit the Easy Street Road. And once you hit that road, you are really close to the finish if you're doing the 26K. You're not so close to the finish if you're doing the 52K. So once you hit this road, and this has been all downhill from high camp there, you're You're
I'll just jump in and add just below high camp. And if you want to go just back up there, there's that one area. It will obviously the course is going to be extremely well marked. But if you're going to pay attention to anywhere on the course in terms of direction, there's a lot going on there in terms of trails, roads, and that kind of stuff. So it's a little bit intricate. However, this little area that Andy's got on there is where you really need to pay attention to. We've got course marshals out there, we've got arrows, and we've also got a lot of tape and flags which will guide you in that area. But that's a little bit intricate in terms of route following. So just pay attention after the aid station there, and it's not head down and hammer, but just keep an eye out on that.
Yeah, that's super important. We've definitely had people try to go the wrong way a few times. We always have a course marshal here, and I remember one year I came down to talk to the course marshal, and she was like, yeah, I told the person to turn here. They ignored me and jumped over this barrier that we had set up and started running straight. I had to like catch them and be like, no, you got to go this way. And they're like, oh, right. Follow the flags. People get tired. It's a long race.
It can be. There's a lot of jumping off and on different tracks over there. So it's just an area that I would love to point out to everyone running it. It's just to just an area of if you can get up and have a look at it, absolutely. If not, then it'd be well marked. Follow the orange flags.
Yep, for sure. So something Steve said there, that is not the section to just like put your head down and hammer. But once you hit this road on Easy Street, that is the section to start hammering. Because you're close to the finish. You can start your kick. You're cruising down. It's fun. It's fast. And then you get to the bell. And I don't know how this person had that much left in their legs to jump up and do that, but
is that Max King?
Is that Max? I don't think that's Max. No, that's not Max.
Hayden Hawks.
Yeah, maybe that's how he had that much left in his legs.
I think that was the winner of the 26. I know. Was that the winner of the 52K? I think it is.
It is Hayden. And it was impressive. He had so much ups at the end of the race. So yeah. So
awesome stuff.
Yeah. When you get to the finish, ring that bell, enjoy the cheering, enjoy the after race and the food and the excitement, and get back out and cheer for other folks as they come in. It's a family event, and you'll see lots of folks there, and everybody's friendly.
So I think that touches on where best place for spectators to watch, and I believe that the tram is going to be running, and that's a great place to get yourself up onto high camp and get yourself up there and watch the people come by. Another good place, if you're into sort of running up and down a little bit, is run up to Easy Street. You could run on the basically reverse of the course. Get yourself to Easy Street. You can watch them come down, and then run back down, get the lift up, and see them at the see them at the top. But bearing in mind, you need to be pretty quick going down, because they'll be quick going down all the way to the finish. It should work out pretty good in timing, but there are 2 or 3 areas that you can certainly watch the race from.
Yeah, and some other of my favorite places to watch the race. I really enjoy getting up here to the top of Squaw Peak and watching the race from there. It's fun watching people come across this ridge line and up the ladder, and watching them cruise down this section. Usually you can then cut over, and while they do this loop, you can get ahead of them again and watch them here again, something like that. So the top of Squaw Peak's a really fun place to watch from. There's some of the places that not many people watch from, and so people will be surprised to see you there, and it really stoke them out. Is on that second loop of the 52K. If you're anywhere in this first part of the course, people are going to be so psyched to see you, because they're like, I just started a second loop. It's so long. And you cheering for them out there would be a really fun spot to be. And pretty easy to hike up this stuff and cheer for them up here as they go into the woods or something like that. That could be a fun spot. And then also the top of KT is a really fun spot to cheer. So those are my favorite places. Out here in the woods, top of KT, top of Squaw Peak. And then like Steve said, taking the tram up to High Camp is a fun place to watch from, and or walking/running up towards the Easy Street.
Yep.
So
Andy, have you got any top tips for nutrition for before we start talking about the 11K and the VK, but especially for the 52K?
Yeah, so I mean this profile here is of the 26K. The 52K looks remarkably similar in profile. It just looks like there's two of them, because there are. And so in terms of nutrition, you got to be on top of it. And I think starting early and knowing what works for you is key. Everybody has a different digestive system, and what works for some people won't work for other people. So I think my best advice for nutrition is practice it before you race it. So go out on some long runs. And if you haven't, used a food before, try it there before you try it in a race. Another option would be there's a lot of professional nutrition folks out there these days, and finding one of those folks to help out, to help give you a race plan that makes sense could be a really valuable thing. So, but in terms of specifics for nutrition, it's so different for everyone. I would say have a plan and have tested that plan before you do the race. That would be my best advice.
Andy, there's another question that came in. Can anybody go and run the course?
Yes. So to train
in the warm-up.
Yeah, so you can get on the course. The squaw is open for hiking and running during the summer, usually. They are doing construction this year, and that construction is they're building a lift from the base of Squaw over to the base of Alpine Meadows. So it comes right across KT22 here. So that section of the course, this section up KT22, may have some impacts from that construction if you were trying to train on it in the next 6 weeks. So I think the best thing to do would be, if you want to get up and train on the course, that's great. Just check in with Squaw when you get there. Check in with the resort. Be like, hey, can I run in this section of the course? I'm sure that they'll be able to give you the most up-to-date information about whether or not they're flying concrete with a helicopter. Certainly don't want to be running under a helicopter carrying concrete. That seems like a disaster waiting to happen. But the other parts of the course, I would imagine, won't have any problems. So yes, it is open to train on typically, but
they have plenty of signage out. So just abide by the mountain rules, as it were.
Yep. And that'll keep us in good standing with Squaw as well, so we can continue to have this race there. So thanks for your help on that. So yeah, that's the 26K and the 52K. Like I said, 26K finishes after one loop, and the 52K just keeps going for another loop. All the same stuff we said about the 26K again. So yeah, I don't know. Are there any questions in the chat window or anything like that we haven't answered?
52K cutoff times. Have we announced them yet, Andy? Do you want to talk a little bit about them?
We do have cutoff times for the race, and those are in place, for folks' safety and things like that. We want everyone to have a good experience. We want everyone to get around the course and finish and enjoy the race. And if you are going to get cut off, we're going to tell you. There'll be a cutoff at the village on that first lap in the 52K. And that's, I believe, 1 p.m. And then there'll be one at Juniper Mountain at 2 p.m. and at Easy Street at 3 p.m. once you get to Easy Street and start up, if you get cut off at Squaw Peak, the fastest way down is just to go down the course. So we really try to make sure that if folks can get to Easy Street before that cutoff, then they're going to be able to make it the rest of the way around.
Yep.
We have in the past basically closed the Shirley Loop and just had people come straight across to the aid station here at High Camp. If that needs to happen, we would probably do it again. So, but yeah, and that's, yeah. Steve, do you have other things to say about that?
No, just that the really hard cutoff is the, did you say it's 1 o'clock, Andy? 1 o'clock at the transition area down the bottom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's because if you get there after 1 o'clock, it's highly unlikely that you would basically have to do a really impressive negative split for the second lap. And I don't know, I'm not sure we've ever had anyone negative split the course. So
yeah, that's a really hard cutoff. So make sure you get in and out of transition there, and back out on the course before 1 o'clock, before either myself or Andy will sweep behind you guys. Which yeah, obviously we don't want to cut anybody off, but the cuts are there in place for everyone's safety as well. Yeah, just make sure you get there in time, and we'll push you along nicely.
And shoot, if you get cut off at the village there, you just did the 26K. Woohoo!
Go for the
point. Nice work.
Wonderful.
So
Good. Well, I'm going to see if there's I'm just getting a few questions coming in from Scott, but seeing if there's any more coming in. Great. Andy, do you want to talk about the events happening on Sunday?
Yeah, let's switch over to the our shorter race, or one of our shorter races, the 11.25 K course. And this one will look familiar. It's that first part of the 26K. You're coming out of the I believe this year we're actually going to move the start on this race to right here. So that'll be nice. And we'll come across the road and we'll go up that single track again, and out the Western States Trail. Again, beautiful running, nice flowy trail. Let's see if we can get back to that picture of beautiful running and nice flowy trail, so we can have it in our minds while we talk about this race. There we go. Look at that lovely flowing running trail. Again, same as that first part of the 26K and the 52K, coming all around past the Juniper Mountain Road aid station, up the hill, up this climb. That's the one that Steve was talking about. That's a little bit bushwhacky. And then we hit that saddle, and then we get to do our favorite Broken Heart segment again. So you folks in the 11.5K race or 11.25K race, you get to do this segment as well, which is going to be great. So you'll be part of that. Coming down and all the way down here to the Easy Street Aid Station. And this is where the course diverges from the 26K and the 52K. At this point, instead of having to go up KT and that big 2,400 foot climb, you go down to the finish. Woohoo!
What a quick last 2 miles on that course there.
Yeah, it is speedy.
You can really fly on that last section.
You can see the profile here. It's just cruising down from the top of Snow King. It is downhill to the finish. Yeah. So it's a fun finish for sure. And although I will say your legs will probably be burning by the end of that 2 miles. It's steep downhill. So yeah, so it's a little bit shorter race. It's still super fun, and it's really, I love this course. It's beautiful running and fun trail, and
it's a stout 7 miles, but it's a great introductory to the other courses of what we have, which is great. So yeah, really good.
Yeah, and it's if you're thinking about doing the race, or you have friends or family doing one of the longer races and you want to watch them, or but you don't want to do the long race, this is a great option. And it's also, like Steve said, a good introduction to Broken Arrow, or really a good introduction to trail racing. A lot of trail races, it seems like in the trail racing community, people focus on those really long races. And we wanted something that is fun and short too. So just a little bit of variety there, and it can be really fun and fast. So
great.
Yeah, so that's one of our other races. The other one is more of a sky running tradition. It's called a VK, and that one is, VK stands for vertical kilometer. So it's not that we found a cliff that's 1 kilometer tall and you go straight up vertically. It's that we tried to do a kilometer of climbing in 5 kilometers of running, give or take. And so you can see the start here is again down in that same area that the 11K starts in. And we're going to run straight up the ski area until we hit the KT road, and then straight up the KT road. A couple switchbacks. This race does get the other segment, that segment across the ridge. There's a little downhill in the race, and then back up to the nice technical ridge and the ladder and to the top of Squaw Peak, and it finishes up here at the top of Squaw Peak. It was a beautiful finish and super fun. Obviously, can't drive there, and so even though the race finishes here, you've still got to get back down to the bottom.
At least high camp usually.
Yeah, most people use high camp. They'll come down Squaw Peak and across this ski area road over here to high camp and take the tram down. Some people have been known to run all the way down to the bottom, but that's there's those 2 ways to get down. And that's our vertical kilometer race. It's a fun race, and it's definitely a lot of people. It's their slowest 5K ever, but also their most beautiful and best used 5K ever. So I would say, if you were looking at these races from easiest to hardest in terms of which race you wanted to start with and then work your way up, the 11K, the 11 and a quarter K race is probably our easiest race, running wise. And then after that would be the VK, and then the 26K, and then the 52K. That might be something people were curious about. But that's sort of our course overview. And like I say, we have these 2. Yeah, likewise. Thanks for doing this with me, Steve. As always, it's fun to talk about Broken Arrow, and even more fun